Last Sunday, our Gospel reading ended with the line, "Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away." I was reminded of that today when it was raining heavily. The clouds felt low and everything had a dark, miserable feeling to it. It seemed that the very weather was adding to the despondency that most people are feeling at the moment with the restrictions forced upon us by the pandemic, that we can't go out or on holiday as easily as we might like, or see our friends and family if they live elsewhere. Life is feeling very closed in at the moment. But we know that the pandemic, like the rain, will eventually pass, and that we will be able to live freely out of its shadow at some time in the future. It is that longer view, looking beyond the end of our frustration and inconvenience, whether it be the rain or the lockdown, that keeps us going. Jesus too was taking the long view, a very long view. When he was speaking, he knew that he would not be in this world for much longer, but he also knew that his words were the words of God, and that as God is eternal, his words, once spoken, will continue to resonate through the ages, regardless of whether the earth on which Jesus stood continued to exist or not. We don't know whether Jesus actually imagined that the world would cease to exist at some time, or whether he was really talking about the destruction of the temple in the near future and the scattering of the Jewish people then settled in Palestine. But he did often use very striking and apocalyptic metaphors to describe the difficult times that he saw coming. This doesn't sound very comforting, but it's only half the story. Whilst Jesus does refer to a time of conflict and anxiety, a future time of darkness and danger, his teachings are balanced with that continued emphasis on God's promise to us that he is always beside us and will answer our prayers, that if we truly believe and put our future in his hands, we will receive nothing but love, mercy and grace. Whilst there are times when that seems very difficult, when loved ones die, when we lose our own health or suffer other life-changing events, we can be sure that God's word, God's promise remains with us and is as strong as ever. The rain will pass, the pandemic will pass, our own worries and concerns will pass, and at the end of it all we have the promise of a home with God for eternity. That, I think, is the real meaning of what Jesus said. Things can look hard, but true peace is to be found with God.